It has officially been almost 24 hours since Travis Scott and the Jackboys released their second edition of the Jackboys series, Jackboys 2. We are here going to give our first thoughts, review, rating 1 through 10 through every single track, give you my thoughts on every single track, and then I will give you a 1 through 10 score at the end of it. If you missed our reaction, it is posted on YouTube right now. If you want to click off this video, go to the reaction and then come back to this video. Or if you want to watch the reaction after it, or you don't have to watch either of them, totally up to you. But that is posted if you want to go see our live reaction, where we do live reactions every single Thursday night. Well, in this case, it was Saturday night, but every single Thursday night to the newest hip hop albums. It's always a great time. The Twitch is in the YouTube description. But they will get posted here to YouTube as well. But Jackboys 2, what a rollout, what a moment. It was one of those things where we figured it would be a summer album as we got the kicked out, which it ended up being kick out, but we got the kicked out snippet from Travis Scott in April of the snippet, and he was kind of hinting at it coming soon here within the summertime. It felt like it was going to be a summer release. We got 2000 Excursion. Don Toliver was very active as well. And Travis Scott kind of just came out last week and kind of made the announcement that it was coming soon. And then he made the announcement saying that it was coming on 7/13, which is shout out to Houston, July 13th. That is the Houston area code. Shout out to the city of Houston. And then we got kind of confused. Like, is it going to be Sunday night, Saturday night? Is it because he said like the 13th of midnight, but that is like, does he mean Sunday midnight, Saturday midnight? Doesn't really matter. Jackboys 2 is here now. There is a lot of mixed reviews on the timeline. There are a lot of people that like it, love it, hate it, don't know how to feel about it. I want to give a quick disclaimer that this is just my 24-hour thoughts. You know, I said during the live album review, during the reaction, I said Travis Scott is my favorite artist ever. He is my most listened to artist ever. So am I a little biased? Sure. And I have no problem in claiming that. I have no problem in saying, sure, I am a little biased when it comes to this. I think there were some highs that were really high, and I think there were lows that were pretty low. I think there were some things that we will talk about that Travis Scott could have done better in. And it not necessarily Travis Scott himself. I think there are moments where Don Toliver could have had more run. Sofago as well as he did, which we're going to get into Sofago. He should have had more run. Shock West should have had more run. Wally had 30 seconds. So yeah, there were a lot of highs and a lot of lows with Travis Scott's and Jackboys 2. But I will give my final verdict toward the end. But yeah, let's get right into it. We're going to go song by song. I'll give you my thoughts. As you can see on screen, you can already see some of the things if you have read them, if you are watching, or if you are just listening. I will go through every single point that we have here. But let's get right to it. The opening track, Jackboys 2 Radio, I didn't give it a score 1 through 10. It was kind of a skit. It was kind of just an interlude-esque type thing. Very Houston, very Southern. I thought it was great. It was the same audio that we heard on the opening snippets, I want to say, or the Instagram post that Travis Scott made for Jackboys. So that was kind of just the audio that was played. I didn't score it 1 through 10. I treat Champaign and VACAY, I spelled it Vavy here. If there's any spelling miscues, that's on me. We'll fight through it. But Champaign and VACAY was what I consider the opening track. It was really track 2. And I have it an 8 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed it. You know, Waka Flocka didn't really have a feature. We'll get to 21 as well, as he was kind of fit into that same role. Waka Flocka served as a Swamp Izzo-esque, hype man-esque role for Travis Scott throughout the entire track. The opening bit was kind of Travis on a melodic side, and then you get this beat switch to Travis Scott just absolutely going crazy. Travis Scott absolutely snapped in his opening verse. You know, I'm not going to get into the Pusha T thing. If you were there for my live reaction, there's no point in doing this. I doubt Pusha responds. Even if he does, it's just, these are two different genres. We're not going to go into the Pusha T scandal. But for a verse, Travis Scott absolutely delivered. I thought it was fantastic. It was very aggressive. It was very straightforward. It was what you expect from a Travis Scott intro. Don Toliver was great in the outro as well. I love the beat switch going into Don Toliver. We're going to get into more Don Toliver. Don Toliver really killed every opportunity that he had. I wish he had more. We will get into kind of that on more of my overall review on the album at the end. But overall, Champaign and VACAY was an absolutely fantastic track to open the album with. And then we get to 2000 Excursion. This was the single that was released on YouTube, I believe a week ago. It samples Power by Kanye West. I wish we would have got more of that sample throughout. You get it in the intro, and then it is this aggressive beat switch, which we love Travis Scott for. But I just wish we would have got more of that Power sample throughout, which we really didn't. I thought Shaq West was the standout. As much as I love Travis Scott, I thought this was Shaq West's track. He really asserted himself. Shaq West has this very aggressive, when Shaq West is on the track, he is on the track. And I thought he asserted himself very well on the track. Don Toliver, you're going to notice throughout this entire review we do, you're going to hear me say things like, yeah, Don Toliver was great. Don Toliver was great, of course. Don Toliver did this, of course, because Don Toliver is a made man. He is an established artist. He is someone that I think is just now entering his prime. And Don Toliver, I think just on this song and throughout the album, just did what he needed to do. And he did that at a very high level. He didn't try to go any higher or lower than what we love Don Toliver for. And that's why I wish he would have got more runtime. But 2000 Excursion, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a good track. And then we get to Kicked Out. This was the track that Travis Scott released on his Instagram back in April. And I absolutely loved it. I was one of those that I was just going back and replaying it over and over and over and over and over again in these past couple months, now that we've been waiting on Jackboys 2. And now that we have the official release, 21 Savage plays as again, Waka Flocka, Swamp Izzo type of role where he is just providing ad-libs. He's doing a lot of things in the background. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like if I would have never heard the original, I would have felt fine about it. But we have an example of what it sounds like without him. And I think I prefer that. I don't think 21 did anything to necessarily harm the track. I just think it feels very cluttered with 21 there because Travis Scott has ad-libs as well, on the song. So it feels like him and 21 are trying to mesh these background vocals and ad-libs that just aren't really meshing very well. But Travis Scott, I thought the song was great. Travis Scott did everything that we love Travis Scott to do. The beat switch to the end, I thought was great. I still think I prefer the original or the beginning half more than I do the second half. But I thought the song was great. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think if we would have got the original, I think I would have went to an 8 out of 10. I just think with the 21, like you can see there as well, I think there are some mixing issues. I don't know if it was... I don't know how to explain it. It just feels like Travis Scott's vocals aren't mixed the way they need to be throughout the instrumental. 21 Savage is a lot louder than him in the headphones. So maybe we'll get an update on that. I don't know. But, it felt kind of rushed. It felt unfinished. I thought the song was great. And I'm going to be replaying it still to this day, of course. I just would have rather had probably the original 2-minute track from Travis Scott himself that we originally got on his Instagram. And then we move on to Dumbo, which I gave a 9 out of 10. I said this is the best song on the album. Now, I understand that we are just within 24 hours from the album being released, and there are a lot of times on albums, especially Travis Scott albums, where I get a different favorite song every couple minutes, every couple hours, every other day. I have a new favorite song. Off first listen, off of him performing it at Rolling Loud or wherever he performed it, I knew this was going to be my favorite song on the album. It's the beat is nuts. Like, the beat is absolutely insane. There is this sort of swirl synth. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm not a producer. I'm not going to pretend to be. But there is some sort of overlaying production synth in the background that just really brings this spookiness, hauntiness to the track. Travis Scott gives you this very choppy, Cardi-esque melodic flow that I thought was great. I really did. I really enjoyed it. The bridge as well, with the melodic Trav singing, giving you kind of the intro or the bridge into the next part of the track. Dumbo, to me, is the best track on the album right now, where I stand. Now, if you were to ask me in the morning when I wake up, I could probably give you a different answer. But as of right now, I think Dumbo is one of the stronger points of the album, and I think it is the best song on the album so far, right now where we stand. And then it goes to MM3. And if you are somebody listening to this, and if you want to go back, you can watch my live reaction to this. I said on air, I said before we reacted to the track, I said, I don't know, I can't remember an artist having more pressure on them to perform in a track the way SoFaygo did on his solo track for Jackboys 2. You know, SoFaygo, there's a meme going around, we all know it, where SoFaygo next man up, or he's next up per Apple Music. And the reality is that isn't the case. That isn't the way the things have gone for SoFaygo in his career. This was honestly a career-altering song for SoFaygo. This was a moment for SoFaygo to prove to all the haters, and to some extent prove to Travis Scott and his label, that I deserve to be here. I can stand toe-to-toe with Travis and Don and Sheck, and this is not a Travis and Don and then the rest of us situation. I deserve to be put in the conversation with them. And boy, do I think he delivered. I thought this song was absolutely fantastic. It felt like 2020 Faygo, 2021 Faygo. It felt like the Faygo that we needed and wanted and loved. And I am just so happy for SoFaygo, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. And now this is the moment for SoFaygo to build off of this, to continue the momentum. And I, as someone that is a Jackboys fan, I am a Travis Scott fan, I feel kind of obligated to support every other Jackboy. That's just the reality. I support Don, I support Sheck, and I support Faygo. And now this gives you a lot more confidence to be a fan of Faygo. I'm happy for SoFaygo. There's a lot of SoFaygo fans out there, especially in the live chat on Twitch where we stream. There was a lot of SoFaygo fans, so I'm happy for y'all. I'm happy for Faygo that he delivered the way we needed him to deliver. And then you move on to VALOUR. I gave it a 7.5. I actually thought this was the best Sheck performance on the album. Instrumentally, I felt like there was something kind of missing. You get the 808s eventually, but throughout the first half of the album where Dawn is, there's really no drums, no 808, there's no kick, there's no nothing. So it felt kind of empty. But I thought Sheck delivered. And like I said, where I wrote it there, again, I said earlier in the video, Don Toliver was great. And it's just, when is he not? That's just, I don't know what to say about Don Toliver at this point. He is an established artist. He is someone that, this wasn't a SoFaygo situation for Don Toliver. This wasn't a Shock West situation for Don Toliver. This was, I am here with you, Travis, and I'm going to help you out. Because there are people out there that think Don Toliver is better than Travis Scott right now, here where we sit. And I don't think I can necessarily call them crazy for that. I don't. So I thought Don Toliver was great, as he was throughout the entire track list for me. But I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. And then we get to Contest, and Contest was my least favorite track on the album. It just was. I gave it a 6 out of 10. And it wasn't because of Faygo. It honestly, for me, was because of Travis Scott. It just felt like Travis Scott was trying to get into a lane where I don't think he can get to. I think Travis Scott has done a good job evolving as an artist into how the newer sound of the genre is going to go when you look at things like Fiend and So Be It. This felt too, the instrumental felt too new school for him. It just did. I enjoyed Faygo on it way more than Travis. I would have loved to see Cardi on this. I wrote down maybe even Ken. If we could have got some sort of Ken Carson on this, I thought it would have been a much, much better track. I think I like the instrumental more than anything. And Travis Scott doesn't do much for me. So Faygo was the best for me. But overall, it's just my least favorite song. I just don't find myself going back to it. I know there are a lot of people that enjoy it. So if you are someone that enjoys it, I'm happy for you that fits you. It's just not someone that fits me. But Contest, I gave it a 6 out of 10. I Love My Bitch, I gave a 7 out of 10. I think Travis Scott saved the song for me. This was a song as well that was released before the album dropped. I really wasn't a fan of it. It's an odd song. It's a very punchy song. It's one that I wrote down. I don't think the song is bad. It's just not for me. And I understand people that enjoy the song. I just don't think it fits what I'm looking for. So I just gave it a 7. I thought it's fine. Travis is my favorite part. Wasn't a big fan of the Sheck performance. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I thought it was an okay song. I just thought it was okay. And then we move on to Where Was You? It's just, I gave it a 9 out of 10. The reality is, you can see where I wrote down Cardi, Travis, Future. Do we really need to say anything else? I will say, when I first heard the instrumental on the live stream, and if you want to go see our reaction live, it is posted on YouTube right now. The beat felt kind of weird. It had this very, I don't know what you call it. It felt like I heard Cardi on it. How was Travis gonna fit? I didn't know if I was really enjoying it. I am someone that's a very big fan of dark, heavy, melodic style tracks, and this one didn't really fit that for me at first. But as Travis Scott's verse came along, it meshed so well, and then you get this hard-hitting beat switch type scenario where you then get Future. And I'll be honest, Cardi has evolved into this dark or deep voice persona now with his I Am Music era, that for the first 30 seconds of the Future verse, I thought it was Playboy Cardi. I thought it was Cardi the entire time. It ended up being Future, which we figured out whenever he said South of France and he bringed his pitch up. I realized it was Future, and I thought Future had the best part of the track. I thought it was great. It feels like Cardi, as a huge fan of all three of them, I feel like there's just nothing they can do that I won't like. And that may sound glazed. That may sound like I'm dick sucking. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just such big fans of all three of them that I will love anything they do. And then you move on to No Comments, the Don Toliver solo track. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It felt like an interlude. It was short. I believe it's about 2 minutes. Don Toliver with the angel, how do you pronounce that? Angelic? No, angel. You get what I'm saying. The effect on his voice was just fantastic. Don Toliver does a great job at taking effects on his voice and just running with them. It feels like every time we get new Don Toliver on albums, he will add a lot of new effects. He will try a lot of new things to his voice that just really pop. And Don Toliver has one of the greatest voices. Don Toliver, I know I've said it a million times throughout this video. I just got to say it again. I don't know what we say about Don Toliver. I don't. I think Don Toliver, I'll give a take here now in the middle of this video. I think Don Toliver has the opportunity in his next album to surpass Travis Scott right now where we sit. Not all time. But I think Don Toliver, next album, he needs to look in the mirror and say, this album that I'm about to put out has the potential for me to now catapult myself as the Jackboy, the best Jackboy. I am now the leader of the group because I think those are conversations that need to be had. And again, no one's a bigger Travis Scott fan than me. I just think those are real conversations that Don Toliver needs to be having with himself because he's fucking talented. He is fucking talented. And Don Toliver, I'll be honest, I don't even know if he's entered his prime yet. I don't know if he has entered his prime yet. Think about that. Think about the music that we have got from Don Toliver, and we sit here and say, I don't know if he's even at his best. I think that's a real conversation to be had. But no comments. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I absolutely loved the track from Don. And then we move to Beep Beep. I gave it a 9 out of 10. As you can see in all caps, the first thing I wrote down and the first thing I said on the live stream was, this needed a Gunna feature. It was screaming Gunna. I think Gunna, for Travis Scott's sake, I'm kind of glad there wasn't a Gunna feature because Gunna would have put Travis in a body bag. It would have been bad. This beat was made for Gunna. It's very light. It's very airy. It's very smooth. It's everything you want in a summer track. As you can see where I wrote down, I said right here as a bullet point, I call it, I don't have enough money to really get the full effect of this song. And I wrote that down because this feels like a type of song that if you are sitting on the beach on a private island, or if you're sitting on a yacht, drinking a pina colada, eating some crackers and cheese, it's just, this song is going to sound insane. I love it. This is very windows down, late summer day. The sun's coming down. You're driving somewhere. This is the song for you. It's perfect in that aspect. And I gave it a 9 out of 10. This is one of my favorite songs on the entire album. And then we move on to PBT. I feel like I don't enjoy this track as much as most. I feel like Beat Beat, PBT, Can't Stop, Florida Flow, they all have this summer-esque feel to them, with PBT having the most summer vibes, if that makes sense. I thought Tyler was great. I thought Tyler's feature was absolutely fantastic. I hadn't really no question marks with her when we knew that she was going to be a feature. I really had no doubt that she was going to deliver. But I don't know how I feel about Vybz Kartel. I enjoy it, and it might be one of those things that I feel like I'm going to get hate on this video for this, because I feel like this is a lot of people's favorite track, and I totally get that. I totally understand that. If this is your favorite track, and maybe I'm just unaware to the culture, I'm unaware to the vibe, I totally understand. Just from my perspective, I don't know how much I enjoy the blowhorns, how much I enjoy that style. I just don't think it's for me. I don't know. As someone that Guidance is in my top 5 most favorite Travis Scott songs ever. Vybz Kartel's kind of on a different level for me, and that's no hate towards him at all. I just don't think it's necessarily for me. I gave it a 7 out of 10 though. I still think it was a very, very good track. I just don't think it's necessarily for me. And then you get SHYNE, and I had to have a real conversation with myself, because when I was making this list, I said it was either between DUMBO or SHYNE being my favorite track on the album. I understand people are hating on this track because the squabbity wobbity 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 whoa. I get it. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun. I enjoy it. It's got a Memphis sound. Glorilla had the best verse on the album. And listen to what I say. Listen to what I'm going to say. She didn't have the best feature on the album. Glorilla had the best verse on the album. And I stand on that. And I think any sort of doubt that you have anywhere else about the track, Glorilla makes up for it. For me personally, I didn't find any of that squawibbity wibbity as a problem. I thought it was fun. I feel like Travis Scott, he has no room for error. And if Travis Scott tries to do anything like that, he's going to get hated on. We see a lot of artists do other times, do fun things and try to switch things up and do things differently, and they get praised for it. And Travis Scott, he does something like this and he gets hate for it. And we're not going to get into that bag, but I love it. I fucking love it. There's really nothing else I need to say about Shine. I thought it was a fantastic track. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And then you move to Outside, which I gave an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it. You know, the only con I have on it is I thought the hook was a little overused. You know, what does it say? Getting your bitch outside, or however it goes. I thought it was a fine hook. I just think it was overused a lot within the track. So that kind of holds it down a little bit for me. The Young Boy feature was absolutely fantastic. It was fantastic. You can make an argument he had one of the best features on the entire album. I love the different tuning effects that Travis Scott had on his vocals, going from super high to super low on a dime. I thought that was really fun for Travis Scott. And I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a great track. And then you move on to Can't Stop. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Again, as you can see, what I wrote down, Don Toliver, he can't miss. He just can't. And I know I went on a long Don Toliver rant earlier on, so we are not going to get back on the wheel again with that, but he just can't. Future, another great melodic performance. I wish Wally would have got more love. He only got a couple seconds. This feels like a track that I'm just going to play. You don't need to overthink it. It's a fine track. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's not a groundbreaking track. It's not a horrible track. It's a fine track. Give it 7.5 out of 10. And then you move on to the outro, which you got a Florida flow. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I loved it as the outro for a couple reasons. One, I thought Kodak fit so well on the instrumental that they switched to. I thought Travis Scott with this marching-esque scheme to keep him in rhythm was fantastic throughout the entire track. And my favorite part was I love that the last minute and a half of the track, Travis Scott just let it ride. He just let that beat roll. It was smooth. It was the perfect outro. It felt like you are driving on a boat, sunset. You're just looking off into the distance of the waves. I thought it was fantastic. So overall, I have this album as an 8 out of 10. I thought it was very good. I thought it was very fun. You don't have to overthink it. It wasn't perfect. There were some lows and there were some things I would have switched. I would have switched a couple curating things as far as album sequencing. I thought some of the songs weren't placed in the right spots. Another thing I would have wished for is more Sofago. Sofago did so well on his 2 performances on 17 tracks. I really feel like we could have been able to get more Sofago on the album somewhere, somehow. But nonetheless, I'm still very excited for Sofago's solo album. Don Toliver, Shaq West, it felt more like a Travis Scott album than a Jackboys album. That's kind of the biggest knock I have. And it's not really a knock because I love Travis Scott so much and I love a lot of the Travis Scott performances throughout. It's just frustrating. I don't know if frustrating is the right word. It's just confusing when you say this is the Jackboys 2, and Shaq West is only on a couple songs. Don Toliver's only on a couple songs with one solo. Sofago's only on 2 songs with one of those being solo. Is it a Jackboys album or is it a Travis Scott album? So those were kind of the things that made me hold back a little bit. But overall, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was fun. I thought it was great. I think it was very mixtape-esque. I had no problems with it. But if you are somebody that wants to go see that live album reaction, it is posted to our YouTube right now. You can go down to our YouTube channel, find that. You can leave a like on that. Hit the subscribe button. We are going to do live album reactions on Twitch every single Thursday night. My Twitch is in the description below. If you don't want to do that, that is totally okay. They will be posted here to the YouTube as well, so you will be able to find them here. As well as album reviews and ratings, which we did tonight in this video. But thank you so much for watching, man. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Thank you so much.